speaking of eating dirty chili out of a dirty shoe, Nick, I feel like that's kind of how watching the Saints is right now. And I mean like that in the most positive way, right? You're still going to get your sustenance. You need food to survive and live. You're getting a warm meal in your belly. But it's a bit of a rock fight. It's a bit of a bump fight. Like it's brutal. It's people just throwing wild punches at one another and hoping that they connect. And it's kind of fun in a really weird way. And I cannot wait for Sunday, man.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of right. It's either they're going to eat or they aren't going to eat, but they probably aren't going to eat good. So, like, are they going to find a meal or not? And they've been finding enough meals, and they're getting by, and it doesn't really matter how it tastes. It's keeping them alive. And that's just kind of where they're at in the season, and it's not going to change. It's not going to get better. And I think once you reach a point where you just kind of accept that they are what they are, and you just watch them and see if they can find a way to win, I think it probably becomes a more enjoyable experience. But, like, expecting something that's satisfying and optically pleasing, I mean, that's not going to happen, and you're setting yourself up for disappointment. And at this point, if that hasn't been figured out, I mean, it's just time to move on and get to that point and see if they can make the playoffs, maybe win a game there, and then during the off season, that's when hopefully they find the pieces to look a little bit different next year. But I think right now, I mean, in their own weird way, they're extremely frustrating, but it's also kind of like a fun team, like just to see if they can figure out what they're doing and finding a way to keep going. And the fact that they're at this point, end of the season, chance to go to the playoffs, down quarterback, both tackles, a wide receiver, the offensive line is 4 guys out. It's crazy that they're still alive. And I mean, I think you just have to embrace like kind of that aspect of it as opposed to like, okay, well, this team doesn't look very good. Well, yeah, they don't look good, but they're winning. And that's, it's kind of incredible.
Well, and it's kind of cool to me, Nick, because if you think about, people love to talk about things, and we talk about it in the LSU sense a bit, but people love to talk about things like culture and, and the organization top to bottom being run well and put together well. And what do you think it would mean for kind of evaluating the Saints culture if they make the playoffs in a season in which they've had an NFL record number of different starters? They've lost, as you said, like important positions as well, right? Like they're starting quarterback, they're starting tackles. Hurricane Ida forced them away from their home for 6 weeks, a month and a half at the beginning of the season. They had a 5-game losing streak in the middle. They've had COVID problems. Like, what does it say about this organization if they still make the playoffs?
I think that's something you can build on, and I think that becomes the fabric of who you are. And I think that's a really good foundation to kind of be starting from, and to have that be the culture where this is who we are to the new players that come in, and they adhere to that, and you get maybe more talented players or healthier on offense, and you build upon that. And I think it makes you a better team. And I don't even think it matters if they make the playoffs. I mean, I think that culture's already been established, and it's there. And my God, man, I forgot about the Ida and Dallas.
I forgot about Ida too. Isn't that crazy, bro? Like it's been such a year that we don't even remember that anymore.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, everybody here has been through a lot. This team has been through a lot, and it's nuts that they're still standing. I had them, honestly, at some point during that 5-game losing streak, I started to think that it was over for them, and they had just been through too much, and how were they going to get back on track? And it was going to be hard. And, here they are. And there's a lot to figure out. I mean, they got to figure something out at quarterback. I mean, obviously, I don't think Taysom's your long-term starter. They got to figure things out at wide receiver. I mean, there's a lengthy shopping list for this team. But the fact that they're here, I mean, Sean Payton, I see people all the time criticizing the coach and saying they're doing things the wrong way. And, I always ask those people, like, okay, well, what would you do? They never have an answer. I mean, and that's kind of, where it's at right now. I think he's done an incredible job coaching. And, you can try to nitpick on the plays and, why are they running outside zone when they don't have anyone who can block? Well, do you want them to run man blocking schemes up the middle where you can't block and your talent isn't better than the other teams? At least with zone stuff, you're trying to hide some of your limitations, but that's they're coaching through limitations, and there isn't a lot of good answers on a play-to-play basis. You just hope that there's enough at the end to find a way to score points, and they're finding those ways. And he gets his team into the playoffs. I mean, I think it's probably one of the more impressive things he's done as a coach, honestly. I mean, it's an incredible amount of attrition, and they might get there. And I honestly think it quite possibly, one of his better coaching jobs.
Well, and it's crazy, Nick. As we're talking here, I mean, even think about the offseason coaching turnover, right? So, like, you're even working in some new faces as well this year. How about this? So, within this year, there have been people that have emerged that have gotten more love than they ever would have gotten maybe if things hadn't gone the way they'd gone down. And I think about that defense, right? Like Demario Davis is now as beloved as any Saint that I can ever think of. But he's always, I guess, been a bit more that way. Cam Jordan, same thing, right? But what about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, man? And the reason I bring him up is a couple. First off, he's, has these excellent highlight plays and funny highlight moments, like staring down Brady and then closing the game out the other day with the sack and the pick and everything. But I also think, like, if you just look at when they were losing and how it correlated to him being out, like, what does Chauncey Gardner-Johnson mean to this team?
It's funny. I think you're right. I think he is kind of coming like part of the identity of the team. And, I think he's gotten better, though, too. I think he's elevated his game, and I think that's part of it as well. I think last year, a lot of times when I break down the film, that there'd be the big plays, but there'd be a lot of plays where he's taking chances and the chances aren't paying off for him. I think he's done a better job of leveling out that percentage, and I think he's making the right moments to take chances, try to jump a play off his instincts. I mean, I think he's doing a better job of that. And you see it, I think it makes a difference. It's resulting in more big plays. And that emotional leader, though, I mean, the way they feed off him and the way the teammates look at him, and when he's out there, the energy he brings, it's a difference maker. And I think it matters a lot. And he is becoming, part of that fabric of that defensive core piece of it. And we are seeing him kind of grow into that this year. And I think that's been one of the developments. And I think it helps in a game like last week when you're down every other safety, except him. PJ goes out. He's kind of like the last man standing there. And, he makes the big plays. He gets a sack. He gets an interception. But, really, I think it is just a lot more sound play from him. And, Kenny Vaccaro was kind of the same type of player. Like, he'd peel off and play on instincts. And I think it would get him in trouble sometimes. And that was kind of where Chauncey was at. But it's gotten better, and it's gotten, way more sound. And he is really becoming a big piece of that team.
Yeah, it's great. Didn't he picked off Brady both games this year too, right? Just a side note, no? Or just, I don't know. No, it's both games. Yeah, okay, cool. Another guy that we should give love to, and this is kind of odd, Nick, because I don't think this goes anywhere because Will Lutz comes back. But, I mean, how about Brett Maher, dude? I mean, 13 of 14. He's now made 12 field goals in a row. Give me your kind of outlook on this Atlanta matchup on Sunday. Do you think this thing maybe comes down to the leg of Brett?
So it's funny, though, the last game, they get the touchdown at the end. I almost wanted them, and it's better for the health of the team to have a good drive and to look better on offense. But I almost wanted special teams and defense to get that accolade of winning 2 out of 3 games where they didn't score a touchdown in any of the 3 games.
Yes.
And it's just on the leg of the kicker and the defense, because really that's how those games played out. And they're kind of the units that have been carrying this team. Like the Saints play good defense. They play good special teams. He did miss an extra point, which kind of sullied the experience a little bit for Brett. But look, he's been solid, and they had a really hard time figuring that out. And you look at it, and you just kind of think, man, if they had stuck with him and went back to him after Lutz got hurt, maybe they win some of those other games earlier in the season as they're rolling through, Rojas and some of the other guys. So he's definitely been a big part of this team. As far as this upcoming game, I think it's extremely winnable. I mean, the only thing that you worry about is just kind of that, Atlanta Saints thing where they're always going to play each other really well. It doesn't matter if one of the teams is terrible one year. Like, it just seems like they always find a way to play a close game, a competitive game. And, I think Atlanta's going to be juiced up to try to spoil their season. And, they're going to throw everything at them. The good thing is that, the game they're counting on is kind of the same type of game,
Yep.
Cardinals and Rams. And I think I saw a stat like where the the Cardinals have won like 4 of those games in a row or something. Like I don't know. It was a weird, surprising stat where the Cardinals have had the upper hand in that a little bit. So, or I'm sorry, San Francisco.
Okay, yeah, I was okay.
Yeah,
and I was so
I got it
confused
backwards.
because I just assumed that I was wrong all day. I'm like, wait, what? Okay, San Francisco.
No, I had to get up at 4 o'clock to drive my parents to the airport, so I'm struggling. Yeah, so I think it sets up well though overall. Like on paper, like if there's a game that you needed, I like that game for them. So yeah, the Rams and 49ers, we're straightened out now. So I think the Rams should win that game. The Saints should win that game. And I think
it'd be awesome.
It sets up. It's interesting. They go to LA. They play the Rams again. It'd be a kind of the Tommy Lee Lewis revenge game.
Yes.
Maybe you find a way to get through it. And, but I like the way it's going to play out. If I had to set up it in a manner in which the Saints were not in control of their own destiny, at least that's a game where you look at it and you think, okay, like this should work out. Like they need to win to get the number 2 seed. They're the better team. So yeah, I mean, I think it could set up for them.
And you gotta love the simultaneous games, right? That's always super fun. Nice job of the NFL flexing it. How about this, Nick? You think the Saints defense is gonna be? I mean, look, obviously they know themselves. They're very confident. Cam Jordan's playing incredibly right now. But you think the Saints defense is gonna be out for a little extra, a little something, because like the Falcons offense kind of embarrassed them in that game in the Dome.
Yeah, look, they're playing good though. I mean, I don't even know if they need something extra at this point. I mean, Cam coming to life, I think it's such a huge thing for this team. I mean, they got 2 guys playing like elite level pass rushers at this point. David Onyemata is playing a little better. He was really good against the run in the last game. I think he's still looking for something in the pass rush, but he's playing well. I think up front they got everything working for him. And Cam's resurgence is just absolutely crazy. He's 2 sacks away from being a top 3 season of his career. And 8 weeks ago we're talking about like, does this guy have how much does he have left? And he's got a lot left. And look, he was getting a lot of pressure early in the season and that, but now that it's turning into the actual production, I mean, it's a lot easier to see. And it's if he can maintain that level going forward in the next year, you get Peyton Turner back, you got a really, really outstanding front. I mean, I think they're really good right now, but the pieces are there for it to be like top of the league. And the secondary is playing good. Marshawn's locked back in. He had a little ball there. I thought that coincided, coincidentally, with that 5-game losing streak. There were a few games in there where he was up and down. He's been playing at that elite level. You get Marcus Williams back, he's playing great. Like I don't think they need to put anything extra on this game. Everything's there for them on defense. And look, the motivation for them is they know they gotta play their best for them to even have a chance to win any game, and that's a playoff game for them this week. So I think they should handle it a little bit. It should be better, and really it's just a matter of like, can the offense score 14 points and that's get a couple field goals, and that's how you got to win these games. But it's a slim margin for the defense, and they know that. They'll be locked in.
Let's just hit 20. They could somehow hit 20 points, have a really good shot at this thing. Nick Underhill at Nick_Underhill. I forgot to say this. New Orleans Football is a site. It is Nick's own baby, and it's incredible, y'all. The best Saints coverage. Go ahead and sign up today. It goes directly to support Nick and the site, making it bigger and better and stronger all the time. Nick, thank you so much, man. I would say for waking up with us, but sounds like you've been up. So thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Later, man. All right, when we get back, we are going to probably I have some thoughts on the Saints a little bit, and a couple of news pieces breaking as well. And then we will talk to Jake Hester a bit later on the hour also.